Hello, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's Tech Talk Thursday webinar, pairing the SaunaLogic2 Sauna Control with the SaunaLogic app. We're glad you could join us today, and we hope you'll get a lot out of this presentation in order to better help your sauna clients control their sauna from their mobile device or tablet from virtually anywhere in the world. Before we get started, I want to cover a couple housekeeping items. Today's webinar is live and is being recorded. I will be emailing you a link to the recording within the next couple of days, and you can always log into the Finleo dealer portal to access this as well, along with the previous training webinars at your convenience. Because of the nature of today's webinar, if you have any questions at any point, please enter them into the Q&A function found in your Zoom menu toolbar, and we will be covering these throughout the presentation instead of only at the end. And if we are not able to get to your question during the webinar, we will have your regional sales manager contact you shortly afterward. And now I'd like to introduce today's speakers. First, we will hear from Tracy Felder, our Director of Operations here at TyloHelo and Cokato, and Rob Neal, our Corporate Trainer. And again, I'm Christina Heinonen, and I will be monitoring the Q&A function throughout the webinar. And with that, I'll turn things over to you, Rob and Tracy.
Thanks very much, Christina. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on what was rather short notice this time. But we wanted to get this out to everyone as soon as possible in order to clear up some of the confusion that might be out there on how to pair up the new SL2 Control with the SaunaLogic app on the user's phone or tablet. And with that said, I want to welcome the most knowledgeable fellow on the subject, Mr. Tracy Felder. And I'm glad you could join us today. Tracy, say hello to everyone if your mic's open.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here with everyone. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Trace. Now, over the past few months, since we introduced the SL2 Control with the app, we've heard of a few cases where things didn't go according to plan in terms of syncing everything up. So I was hoping today that you might be able to walk us through the whole procedure from start to finish. And before we do that, I'm wondering, why don't you just kind of give us your slant on what makes the SaunaLogic app such a great thing to have for a sauna in the first place?
Thanks, Rob. I can definitely do that. In a nutshell, the SaunaLogic does everything your control does, plus more. With one minor exception, you cannot dim your lighting. You can change your light colors, but you can do everything else. You can turn it on, you can turn on your Bluetooth, change your colors, you just can't dim it. And then there's other pieces, which will be another seminar, baiting you in for the next round, is automation and making it so it's scheduled and using a planner to create it, turn on your sauna in advance.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. That's great.
And then just want to touch base before we go too far. One of the things that we found is people get anxious. They want to get to the pairing process, but first of all, you need to get the heater installed, get it all, make sure it's up and running with the control first before we try to do any pairing. So that's why this is in there, just to make sure people don't get too far too fast.
Good deal.
So just kind of the first step of this process, kind of straightforward. First, you need to get the app. So depending on if you have an Android or an Apple device, you go to the App Store or the Google Play and type in SaunaLogic, search for it, and then hit download. And
now,
then,
is there anything else, Tracy, they might find there? Could they find us under Finleo or TyloHelo?
Yes, there's different search words. TyloHelo and Finleo and SaunaLogic are the primary ones. You might be able to find us under Helo also.
Perfect.
So now that you've downloaded the program, we're just going to literally kind of walk you through this process step by step. First thing you're going to do is, if you have an account, so for example, a dealer, once you get it created, that's one process, but we're going to start for the people who have never done this. So you're going to register. And again, if you're familiar with this app, we had an app update about 2 months ago, and now we can register, or you can only register by email. So you're going to register your product, agree, and then you'll put in your email address, and then it's going to send you a verification code. So then you'll bounce over to your email, get that code, and you'll enter it in.
Now, a lot of homes will have 5G networks, correct?
Yes.
Trace, and can they not hook it up using that network?
Yeah, what this really comes down to, folks, is as technology keeps moving forward, there are some programs or some devices that need speed and some that don't. So in this arena, almost anything that has generic Wi-Fi connection, such as this type of device or a lot of your standard smaller apps, they run on a 2.4 gigahertz speed. Nowadays, most phones will run on a 5, and there's actually the next generation 5.8 gigahertz. But don't be concerned or don't be scared about that. All the Wi-Fi routers out there actually make each three. If it's a new one, it breaks it into each 3 categories. So even if you have a brand new one, you do have the 2.4 gigahertz, and it should automatically figure out which one to jump onto.
Good deal.
And if you do have just kind of speaking backwards, I have seen on some, what I'd say, very low end routers, on occasion, you have to actually go and turn the 2.4 on as an only device. And there's some of them you can do it as a temporary. So it allows you to make sure you get the right one. But generally, it just automatically selects the one you want.
Okay.
All right. So now that your phone is online or on the Wi-Fi connection, you're going to start going through this process. First thing you want to do is pretty straightforward, add a device. And when it comes up, you'll have the app signal or the control, actually it's the control signal. You're going to press that. So, and again, if you're very familiar with the app, this is actually the manufacturers swap these 2 orders a little bit. So what we'll do now is you're going to select the Wi-Fi you want to use. So you're the one you're already connected to, and then you'll put in the password. Once you put in the password, it'll give you the dots. And if you want to see to make sure you spelled everything correctly, you can hit the I so you can see it. And then after that, you'll go to the next. Now, this is a piece that we can talk about in a little more in depth before, but again, with this, the new app and the new software, we actually have created a 2-step process now for pairing. And just so you understand why, in the past, you'd press and hold the Bluetooth for 3 seconds until the con cycle starts, or the connection cycle starts, if you will. But what was happening is people were incidentally programming that. And again, we'll talk about that. So now it's a 2-step process. So literally, you're going to press and hold the Bluetooth till you hear a beep. You're going to let go of it, press it again until you hear a second beep. And then you're actually in the true process of control of pairing. Then you go back to your phone and you're going to hit confirm, what are the red arrow points. And then after that, you're going to go to next. So it's going to, at that point, your phone is going to try to find a Wi-Fi network. So it's going to see the smart piece, and you're going to select that. And again, just so everyone's aware, we're walking you through the Apple process, but don't worry, the Android, except for 2 little screen areas, are absolutely the same, but this is a very good representation. So you will be connecting your phone to the control itself. And if I can expand on that a little bit, I just want to just generally explain this process. So the first time you connect your control to the phone, all you're really doing is sharing the Wi-Fi information from your phone into your control. Then once your control goes through this process, it will go through the internet from now on to communicate. So your phone will only technically, kind of what I'd say, directly speak to the control once and only once. And then after that, it will use the internet to communicate after this. So now once your phone sees the control and you get that check mark in front of the device, then you're going to go onto the next screen. If we can, there we go. So, and again, this is the piece, and we'll talk about a little bit more later, but this is the piece in an Apple, you're going to go up and press the upper left-hand corner, and that will jump you back over to the SaunaLogic app. And in an Android, you have to press a different spot to get back with that. And in Androids, it's, since there's so many versions of Android phones and there's no real standardization in some things, what I'm going to call the back button, and it could be in different locations. Sometimes it's the bottom left corner, sometimes in the bottom right corner, or sometimes you have to swipe up to be able to jump back over to the SaunaLogic. So, but for an Apple, it's always in the upper left-hand corner. And then the very next thing it's going to do is this right screen here is on your app, it'll say adding a device. And then after that, it literally just comes up, says device is devices successfully added. And at this point, it will come up defaulted generically to the name of SaunaLogic2. But you can also, oh, sorry about that. So you can change your device name. One of the things we do recommend is if you leave it as SaunaLogic, sometimes it's a little harder to understand for your voice recognitions. So for an example, you could have it Bob Sauna or Rob Sauna for that matter. So you just hit the pencil, edit it, change whatever you want to name it. But just remember, whatever you're naming it, make it easy for voice recognition if you're going to use that function. And then press save. And then press done. And your app is basically up and running. So this is the home screen of the app. Pretty straightforward. During the design process, we went through 2 or 3 different iterations at the beginning without releasing it, just so people could see what it looks like. But everyone thought it was very, very intuitive. So, and again, just to kind of lay out the app itself, everyone that we spoke to, the most important thing they want to know is the heater running and what is the temperature in the room? So the temperature, that's why it's the biggest piece and it's up on top. So you can visually know exactly what it is already, at the very beginning. And then it's an on-off function. And as soon as it's on, the button slides to the right or turns green.
And Tracy, we're going to come up with another webinar, or at the very least, a Sauna retailer video that will talk about all of the functions of the control and then the automation that can take place using the SL2.
Yeah, just to give a little tidbit, the automation is extremely powerful. So it's really an impressive function. So this is literally the very first screen when your app turns on. As you can see in the lower left corner of the screen, it says home and it's a dark gray. So that means it's your home screen. But you can turn your control on from your home screen, or if you were to press it, you'd go into that full gray screen. So the left screen obviously is off since it's not green, and then the right side is your SaunaLogic is heating.
So why don't we just do a quick summary of this, and then we'll get into some other things that may spring up.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. So one of the things we found is sharing a Wi-Fi connection and pairing a Wi-Fi connection. And again, just wanted to touch base with this, and I had alluded to it a little bit earlier. Again, the first thing we're going to do is pair your phone to the control so it shares the Wi-Fi network information. So that's that first piece. And then once the control has access to the internet, then everything will be going directly through the internet. Your phone will go to the internet, and your SL2 will go through the internet, and that's how it'll communicate. So one of the confusion pieces that people have is that direct pairing. That is literally only once and at the very beginning. And then after that, you won't have that process again.
Good deal. So you said there's a couple things that come up. that
Yeah.
definitely need clarification.
Exactly. And I had talked about this a little bit at the beginning. And when you get into the app, there's pieces you talk about owner and pairing, but there can only be one owner of a control. So, and again, this is why we changed our control or our pairing process to a two-step process versus a one-step process. Because before, people were accidentally pairing it. So we can only have one owner. So if that's the, hypothetically, if Rob is going to be the owner of the control, he's going to pair and he'll have complete rights to the control. And then from there, he will be able to do other functions. So he's now the owner at that point. So we just wanted to explain the difference between owner and only the original owner can pair, and they only do that once. You have any questions on that, Rob, or is that?
No, we're
clear?
good. One of our coworkers just texted me during this. It was a very good point. Now, the Finleo control, TyloHelo control, and Amarek control will not work with the SL2. Is that correct?
Correct. Absolutely correct. So just imagine the SL2 only works with the SL2 control. The SaunaLogic app only works with the SL2.
Okay.
So yes, that would be a different name.
That should be easy to remember.
Yep.
Okay. And I know this is going to come up. What about the pairing process for the SaunaLogic2, the IL2? Is it the same?
It will be. It is all of our latest controls. And just as a side note, we haven't really talked specifically. We actually have the SL2, and then if you notice, we have a / SL2-C, or the C is for commercial, or kind of the generic name for that. But what that comes down to is both of these controls look identical. They go to different contactor boxes and they go to different heaters, but the interface is the same and the pairing process is the same. So now I'm leading to your question, actually, Rob.
Yep.
The IL2 pairs and interface is identical. You'll have a couple other different names on your buttons once you're paired, but nonetheless, the pairing process, the two-step process, all that is now the same between all three of those controls.
Okay. And what about updates? Do they have to go back to the App Store, or is there a way to automatically do that?
No, it will. If there's been an update to the app, it will prompt you and it'll ask you the next time you use your app, if you want to update, it will do it and it'll just close your app and it'll reopen and you're up and running. But it will prompt you if there's an app update. But just for everyone's out there, so far we've done 2 of them. We've done 2 app updates, and every one of those has been driven because of Apple and Android changes, not because of the actual app or anything internal. But as the technology changes, apps have to stay current with the requirements. So that'll be the driving force for updates.
Good. Excellent.
We have another question, Tracy. If the owner gets a new phone after pairing their old phone to the control, then do they need to pair the new phone to the control?
That's an excellent question. And now I'm going to revert back to my original answers so it'll help kind of cement the concept. So someone gets a new phone, all they have to do is log into their account and they now have access to it. And the reason is think about it this way. Your phone only pairs to the control once and only once. Otherwise, it uses the internet. So again, now thinking that same logic, when you get the new phone, as long as you have access to your account, you have access to everything. So you don't have to go back to the control. So the answer would be, as soon as you log in, you have full control again.
Great.
Excellent. Thanks, Christina. Okay. So moving right along here. How about this?
Yeah, this is the kind of the classic trying to understand pairing, sharing, owner, and all that pairing process. So again, I'm going to kind of go back to the beginning because typically if you hear it a few times, it makes it more sense. So the reason we went back to the 2-touch process is so people don't accidentally pair or try to pair. Okay, and we all know now that you only need to pair once with one control. and that makes you the owner. So now this next step is, say you have a family and you have 5 people who want to use this. Absolutely, that's the beauty of this control. So the owner is going to share it. I mean, just like you'd share anything. So in a nutshell, the new member, the new person, say your son or daughter wants to use it and they have it. So they're going to take their device, be it an iPad, phone, control, whatever. They're going to download the SaunaLogic app, just like we did at the beginning. They're going to create an account, a new one. They will use an email address. They'll get it verified. So once they have it verified, then all you have to do as the owner, then the owner will have to go into their app, and there's a section called Family and New Members. You'll click on the new members, and then, oh, sorry, this kind of jumped ahead. So this is talking about the new member. Is there another bullet coming in? There we go. Sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit. So the owner, the person who originally paired, they have the ability to share it. So there's a section called Family. In that family, there's Home Management. You'll click on that. Under the home settings, you can add a member. Then we would add, as the process of adding a new member, the owner is going to type in, such as, say if I was going to share it with Rob, you just type in Rob's email address, whatever he created his account under. And then once you do that, you'll share it. And then Rob, having his app open, he will literally get a notification saying, Bob's sauna is being shared by Tracy Felder. And he's going to hit OK. And he then has full access to the control.
Right.
So just kind of walking back through that, the owner is going to share it. All the person who wants to receive it, in essence, they just have to be a member and have the app open. And then the owner will just share it to the member's email address and it will take care of itself.
Good deal.
Does that make sense, Rob?
Yeah, I know it's easier than describing it. So
Sorry.
No, not at all. That's very helpful. Okay, so some troubleshooting in case things do arise. We don't expect it, but it can.
Yeah. Really, it kind of comes back to stuff that we've already spoken a couple times about, really. The SL2, SL2-C, IL2, want to make sure you have the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi network available. If you don't, or if you can't get it to pair, that's definitely the first place to check. Depending on which Wi-Fi router you have, there's a lot of them now. You control those with a different app, of course, the app for that. But if you go in there, there's ways to disable your other ones. So only it shows your 2.4 gigahertz. That's one version. Or if that doesn't take care of it, you would also be able to log in as your administrator into your network and just make sure the 2.4 is turned on. But as everything that we've seen so far, and I actually play with this a fair bit, I have never seen the 2.4 not active. So it's usually just a matter of giving a temporary where it turns the other ones off so it can see it. But generally, it's not even a problem. It just goes out, sees it, and goes. But that's always the first place we check. So one of the things we have seen, not very often, but we have seen on occasion, is the phone case. If there's a phone case that has, you know, like a credit card protection on it, so you can put your credit card so people can't read it, that will or can weaken your connecting process between your phone and the control. So just as again, we've only seen it just literally on one hand or less, but we thought it was enough to put it in here just in case you're having that. It's an easy thing to test. Just take your phone case off and go back to the first step of the pairing process and go from there.
Good. I actually saw that firsthand on a delivery a week or so ago down here in Florida. we tried a couple of times, and then somebody had the brilliant idea to take the case off. And it was a heavy duty case, probably an I think it's RFID, protection case, and it synced right up. No problems afterwards.
And folks, you have no idea how much this pains me, but the salesperson actually did that without asking for tech support help. So it was a painful cut to my heart, but I was proud of them that they do learn and listen. So thank you so much for this information.
Thanks so much, Trace. All right. What about difficulty with Android systems?
Yeah, two things. One is Android being able to be made by so many different manufacturers. They have some idiosyncrasies, such as I had alluded to at the beginning about the back button from once your phone is now connected to the Wi-Fi or to the control itself on the Wi-Fi process and jumping back to the app. Again, that button is in 3 different spots that I've seen. So some people they don't know how to get back to the SaunaLogic app to allow it to finish the pair. So that's really the biggest piece we've had. And we have had 2 different devices that would just not pair. They were Samsung 21s. And in this 2 examples, the couple had an Apple, paired the Apple device, they became the owner and shared it to the Android. 0 problems, no questions asked, everything worked fine. But I'm hoping the SL or in that very specific situation, the Samsung 21, that just gets taken care of or worked itself out. But that's the only one that we've seen where they couldn't pair. But on the other side, we have seen multiple Androids where people didn't know how to use their phone to get back to the app. So Android is just a little more cumbersome. I wish we could do something different, but it is because there's so many variations of the Android interface.
And in a minute, I'll show that we're going to add Android screen captures like we did earlier with the Apple phones. So we'll probably do that in a day or so, but we'll have this entire presentation ready to revisit and watch again with a full set of instructions, almost mirroring the Apple phones for Android.
Absolutely. Literally, it's going to be screenshot for screenshot, almost identical, except for those 2 or 3 spots where you're bouncing from your Wi-Fi back to the SaunaLogic app. So, yeah.
Okay. And what is inadvertent pairing of the control?
Yeah, sometimes people will call it false pairing, some kind of inadvertent or accidental. Really, that goes back to when they were to press on the control itself, press the Bluetooth button for 3 seconds, let go of it, and press it again for 3 seconds, and it starts to connect or try to pair with something. When you do that, you lose, no matter who is the original owner, that process or that connection point is now severed. So we just wanted to talk about it. And that was actually one of the reasons why we actually went to a 2-step process. So it didn't accidentally, inadvertently, or falsely pair or try to pair with another device. So again, we just wanted to make sure everyone understands, the 2-step process is important on purpose, so it doesn't happen inadvertently.
Good. Okay, so like we said, everything we've talked about thus far has mainly been to pair an Apple device with the app to the SL2 control and the SL2-C controls. So tonight, tomorrow, we're going to be working on loading up the Android images. And once this is released to you with the link, it'll be put up on the portal and it'll be conclusive. Well, thanks a ton, Tracy, for doing this for us. It's cumbersome, but you do it once or twice, you've got it. If anyone has any questions, now's a great time to ask. Christina, are you able to monitor that for us? Do we have any questions that we haven't answered thus far?
Looks like we answered them all at this time.
Okay, good. Well, folks, again, I believe the salespeople, as much as the delivery and installers of saunas using the SL2 that have the worldwide app capability, need to learn this process. Again, do it on your showroom floor, do it whenever you can. And anyone new to the teams, either one, sales or delivery, really should be brought up to speed on this quickly, because I don't think you want to deliver a sauna and say, yeah, go online, check the pairing instructions. You'll figure it out. I'll see you in there. We don't want to do that. We want to be as full service as possible at the point of delivery. We want to be professional. And the only way you can do that is really to do it while they're excited, while they're listening, and while everything's fresh in their mind. So again, thank you all very much for showing up today on such short notice. We appreciate your business, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for inviting me on to the show.
Thanks, everyone.